Everyone thought he was a weird loser, but he turns out to be the strongest fighter in high school. Sakura Haruka was born with odd hair colors and mismatched eyes. Because of that, he's been discriminated against, avoided, and feared his entire life. But despite his appearance, no one ever dared to bully him because Sakura is insanely good at fighting. He admires the strong, has zero interest in the weak, and absolutely despises weaklings who pretend to be strong. After years of constant hate, he finally snaps and decides to transfer schools. He heads to another town and enrolls in Furin High School, a place infamous for housing the strongest fighters in all of Japan. Sakura's goal: reach the top and rule the school. On his first day in town, he takes a casual walk until he sees a group of thugs cornering a girl. They demand she let their gang hang out at the G-spot, but the girl is a total Sigma female and tells them to get lost. The leader grabs her hand only to feel a light tap on his shoulder. He turns and sees Sakura. Without warning, the leader throws a punch to establish dominance, but Sakura casually dodges, then proceeds to beat the entire gang into the pavement. Standing on top of the leader's chest, Sakura mocks him for actually thinking he's strong. As he leaves, the girl he saved runs after him to thank him. Sakura, being socially clueless, turns red and asks if she's really talking to him. He hasn't had friends his entire life, and it shows. He insists he didn't save her or anything. She takes him to her family's restaurant to thank him properly. Her name is Kaduha Takabana, and she quickly realizes Sakura is new in town. She explains that their town used to be chaotic because of gang turf wars, so outsiders rarely show up. She then tells him he looks weird, but in a cool way. Sakura actually flinches. Everyone else he met only ever called him a hideous creature. He tells Kaduha that he came to Furin High to become the strongest fighter and rule over everyone. She laughs, calls his ambition huge, and starts teasing him, pointing out that he already wore his school uniform even though school starts tomorrow. Sakura gets embarrassed and admits he simply doesn't have any other clothes yet. An old customer leaves the shop, and when Sakura runs after him to give back a forgotten bag, the man thanks him. Kaduha rewards Sakura with candy, and he turns red again, shocked that people in this town can actually be nice. Seeing how deep his trust issues run, she gives him a serious warning. He made the right choice coming to Furin High, but the way he is now, he will never reach the top. Sakura snaps, insisting he's strong. She tells him she doesn't doubt his strength, but the reason he can't reach the top is simple: he's alone. Sakura storms off, shouting that he doesn't need anyone. Kaduha simply tells him to meet the Furin kids once, and then he'll understand. Still replaying her words in his head, Sakura suddenly runs into the guy he beat that morning. This time, the loser brought his entire gang for round 2. Sakura tries to ignore them, but the leader steps in front of him and mocks his hair and eyes, assuming it's cosplay. When he realizes it's Sakura's natural look, he calls it creepy. That's when Sakura smiles. This is the reaction he's used to, the reaction that fuels the urge to fight. The urge to prove he's better than everyone else at something. He unleashes all his pent-up rage, cracking the guy's nose and thinking about every insult he's ever heard. The gang rushes him, but Sakura jumps into action, taking one down with a kick, using him as a platform, and flattening another with a flying strike. He dodges every attack with insane reflexes, knocking each boy out with a single blow. Even when they all charge him at once, Sakura blocks every hit effortlessly and ends them with one punch each. One guy grabs him from behind, so Sakura elbows him into the ground and continues mowing through the rest. Punches, kicks, headbutts, everything goes, and in a matter of seconds, Sakura wipes out the entire gang without breaking a sweat. Some of the defeated gang members start running away. Kaduha can hear the chaos from her family shop, so she steps outside to check what's going on, only for one of the thugs to grab her and take her hostage. He orders Sakura to surrender, bragging that Furin students always back down when townspeople are in danger. But Sakura, he couldn't care less about their bluff. He charges forward and kicks the guy unconscious before he can even scratch Kaduha. Sakura spits. Only sissies bring knives to a fist fight. Another boy tries to attack him from behind, but Sakura easily reads his movements and sends his face straight into a wall with a brutal kick. The rest of the gang charges in again, but the result doesn't change. Sakura drops them like practice dummies. But even with all that power, he eventually gets backed into a corner because he's trying to shield Kaduha. He wonders why he's even protecting her. After all, in his life, nothing good ever comes from helping people. While he's distracted, one fallen thug grabs a knife and slashes Sakura's leg. Another swings a steel baseball bat at his head. Sakura dodges the first strike, but when he prepares to block the next, it never hits him. Sakura opens his eyes and sees a tall, muscular man in a Furin uniform standing in front of him. The man grabs the bat, knocks out its wielder with a single elbow, and bends the steel bat in half as if it's made of plastic. More Furin students arrive behind him. The gang instantly recognizes the big guy Hiragi. They panic, wanting to back out, but one idiot insists there's only 4 of them, and orders everyone to attack. Hiragi calls out to his 3 underlings, "Don't let a single thug escape." Then chaos explodes. The Mohawk guy starts tossing enemies around like he's practicing judo on toddlers. The headphone kid flips through the crowd with acrobatic dodges, and the bored-looking dude calmly knocks people out using plain, efficient boxing. Sakura can only watch as these 4 wipe the floor with the entire gang. One thug rushes Sakura, and because of his injured leg, Sakura struggles to defend. But Hiragi steps in again, kicking the attacker away. He tells Sakura to stay back if he's injured. Sakura yells that all these people are his prey, but Hiragi doesn't care. He continues flooring enemies with brutal kicks, leaving Sakura speechless. Suddenly, the townspeople start cheering for the Furin students. Sakura is completely confused. Kaduha explains that 2 years ago, their town was ruled by violent gang wars until Furin took control. The first thing they did was put up a giant notice at the neighborhood entrance. Anyone who causes trouble here will be purged. The townspeople began relying on them and eventually gave them a name, Furin. The Windbreakers. Sakura can't believe his eyes. These violent-looking delinquents are being treated like heroes, like protectors. But what shocks him even more when the crowd starts cheering for him too. His tiny brain can't handle it. He panics, telling them to leave him alone. Kaduha kneels to help an old lady apply first aid on his wound. She tells him, "You might be alone right now, but one day, the people here will need you." Sakura snaps, shouting that he doesn't care. Kaduha simply asks why he helped the old customer earlier, then tells him to look ahead. Everyone is staring at him with pride. Sakura gets emotional and looks away, overwhelmed. But suddenly, he sprints forward toward a crowd gathered at the edge. He yells about how ridiculous it is that delinquents are playing heroes, but as he jumps over the mob, he admits, it's ridiculous, but it's freaking awesome too. He flies over the people and kicks the enemy leader, who was sneaking behind Hiragi with a knife. The man is sent flying. As Sakura lands, he finally thinks, maybe, in this town, even someone like me can be loved. And just like that, the story of the weird loser who becomes the hero of a town truly begins. Next day, Sakura visits Kado's cafe in a foul mood because an old granny forced him to carry her on his back all the way there. She even jumps off with a full Spider-Man superhero landing. Sakura is furious. She told him earlier she couldn't walk properly, but she thanks him sweetly, and Sakura turns red from embarrassment. He tries to leave, but Kaduha stops him and offers free sandwiches. She teases him, saying he must be excited to start his new Furin high school life. Right then, another Furin student walks in, and immediately trips at the doorway, face planting into the floor. This klutz, Nari, tries to show off his new outfit to Kaduha, but Sakura deadpans that his shirt's still. Nari notices the tag on Sakura and can't believe guys this clumsy and silly actually exist in Furin. Kaduha tells Sakura that they'll all be in the same grade, which shocks him even more. Nari casually asks Sakura if he came from another town, then suddenly comments that his eyes and hair look strange. Sakura is already preparing to throw hands if he says one more bad thing, but Nari simply pities him, assuming Sakura's hair turned white from stress. Sakura is completely stunned. After Kaduha finishes laughing at him, she formally introduces the two boys. Nari then pulls out his diary, a notebook where he records every cool guy in Furin. He asks Sakura why an outsider like him wants to join a school that protects the entire town. Sakura takes a bite of his sandwich and says he's here for one reason, to reach the top. I tells him that's impossible. He'll probably go bald from stress before he gets anywhere. Sakura, flustered and annoyed, is ready to take things outside immediately, but Nari suddenly checks the time and panics, saying he's late for town patrol. He proudly declares that starting today, he will be a hero of justice, then immediately smashes his head into the door on his way out. Sakura is pissed that a klutz like him is trying to get into a school full of fighters. People like him, Sakura says, only care about style and run away when things get real. Kaduha calmly replies that things are not always as they appear. She tells Sakura he's free to think what he wants, but it's too early to judge others. He should take his time and truly evaluate people. Sakura leaves the cafe thinking about her words, when a baker suddenly offers him fresh bread and cookies. Sakura is confused, but the baker explains that Furin students always help local shops, so this is their way of giving back. He also thanks Sakura for dealing with the gang yesterday. Sakura blushes and claims he isn't hungry, so the baker packs the bread and forces it into his hands. Soon, every shopkeeper in the area starts giving him free food as thanks. Sakura walks home with his arms full of bags, completely overwhelmed, wondering how this became his life. Suddenly, a girl screams nearby. Startled, Sakura throws all the bags into the air. The girl runs to him and clings to him, begging for help. In a nearby alley, Nari is getting beaten up by a group of boys. He tried to stop them from harassing a girl, and now they're using him as a punching bag. Their leader mocks him, saying Furin students pretend to be guardians of the town, but end up needing protection themselves. He starts walking away, until Nari tackles him from behind, shouting that anyone who harms others will be purged by Baphomet. Everyone bursts into laughter. The leader smashes Nari to the ground and raises his fist for a final blow, when suddenly, Sakura appears and kicks him across the alley. The boys rush Sakura, and Nari screams that he'll lose, but Sakura defeats every single one of them in seconds. Nari trembles as Sakura walks away. He thanks him, embarrassed, saying Sakura must be disappointed to see someone so weak. Sakura coldly says he didn't come to save him, and Nari should remember his position. Nari then starts reciting his tragic life story. Bullied in middle school until a Furin student saved him, inspiring him to become strong too. Now he feels like a pathetic loser. Sakura thinks back to his first impression of Nari, and how wrong he was. He tells the crying boy that he may be weak, but he isn't lame. The girl from earlier approaches, thanking Nari for protecting her. He bursts into tears again. She also thanks Sakura, making him blush, before he walks off. Stops him, pulls out his cool guys of Furin diary, and begs for Sakura's details so he can add him to the book. He even gets touchy-feely, making Sakura embarrassed enough to smack him. Sakura starts walking away, but Nari happily announces that he'll follow him for the rest of his life. He might be weak, but he can guide him around town and help him reach the top. He drags Sakura to Furin High, which is covered in graffiti and stickers. They find the class roster, and Nari is thrilled they're in the same class, until he sees another name that makes him pale instantly. Someone he never wanted to meet is in their class. As they reach their classroom, Nari begs Sakura to be friendly to everyone so they won't be hostile toward an outsider like him. Sakura ignores everything, stretching in case he needs to fight. He walks into the room and says it doesn't matter. Even if the whole class is full of monsters, the entire school instantly turns against Sakura the moment they hear he's here to fight his way to the top. But Sakura doesn't care. He opens the classroom door and finds nothing but certified delinquents staring back at him. Nari starts freaking out at their glares, but Sakura is actually pleased by the quality of fighters in the room. Suddenly, a boy with an eye patch approaches. Sakura immediately prepares to fight, but Nari jumps in front of him and apologizes on his behalf. Just from the eye patch, Nari knows who this is. Suo, one of the strongest first years. Except, Suo has Delulu fever. He believes he's Leonardo DiCaprio, and his eye patch is sealing a Chinese spirit. Sakura instantly labels him an idiot, but as Suo walks closer, he tenses again, only for Suo to cheerfully pat his shoulder and call him the hero who stopped yesterday's brawl. Everyone has already heard about him. They crowd around, curious about the new guy. Nari sighs in relief. At least Sakura hasn't made any enemies yet. But when someone asks why Sakura enrolled in a school that protects Furin despite being an outsider, Sakura answers confidently, "I'm here for the top spot." Silence. Every strong fighter in the room instantly marks him as a rival. As Nari scolds him for being reckless, a table suddenly flies across the room. Everyone turns toward the door. A tall, menacing, long-haired guy walks in. Nari begs Sakura not to fight him. Of all people, not him. This is Kyotaro, the most dangerous first year in Furin. Everyone steps aside automatically, but Sakura smiles. He likes mad dogs like this. Kyotaro charges. His first attack crushes only a table as everyone dodges. Sakura faces him head-on and says this is exactly what he expected from Furin High. The two glare at each other while the rest of the class watches in total silence. Suo whispers that Sakura really messed up. He declared he wants the top in front of Kyotaro. Kyotaro suddenly fires a furious punch. Sakura dodges. Kyotaro launches rapid punches and ferocious kicks, each one harder to evade. Meanwhile, Suo starts commentating like a sports announcer. He explains that Kyotaro has been visiting Furin since middle school, and because of his insane passion and skill, he was recognized as a Bofriend member before he even enrolled. He's so loyal to the current leader that he cannot tolerate anyone dreaming of overthrowing him. Kyotaro attempts a sweeping kick. Sakura barely evades. Kyotaro shoves him back. Sakura slips, dodges another punch, and uses the opening to deliver a crushing kick to Kyotaro's jaw. The class gasps. Kyotaro wipes the blood from his nose. Sakura taunts him, calling him a brainwashed follower who can't think for himself and has no chance of beating him. They're about to clash again, when suddenly, the public announcement system blares loudly. Two idiots can be heard fumbling with the controls. Everyone pauses. Sakura is irritated beyond belief. Things were getting good. Then a loud, commanding voice welcomes everyone to Furin High. The whole class stands at attention. Only Sakura is confused, wondering who's speaking. It's Hajime, the leader of Bofriend. Just hearing his name sends electricity through Sakura. He wants to fight him immediately, but Hajime is surprisingly clumsy. He forgets what he was supposed to say, leaving Sakura dumbfounded. Then he remembers. He simply wants everyone to enjoy their youth and make exciting memories. The class looks confused. Kyotaro nods like he's listening to a TED Talk. Hajime finishes by saying he hopes there are no fights on the first day. Kyotaro instantly wipes the blood off his face and pretends to be innocent. Finally, Hajime gets to the main point. Protect the town. Protect its people, its property, their feelings, everything that matters. That is Furin's only rule. Everyone roars in affirmation. Sakura feels the aura in Hajime's words and wonders how someone can have this much influence. Is it because he's strong? Or something else? His curiosity grows. After the announcement, Suo walks up to Sakura and Kyotaro, trying to force them into a handshake. Sakura refuses. Kyotaro started the fight, and it isn't even over. Suo sighs and says that if Sakura wants the top, grudges like this should be forgotten effortlessly. Then he blackmails Kyotaro, asking him what would. Suo doesn't even need to finish his sentence. Just the idea of Hajime finding out that his loyal follower picked a fight first makes Kyotaro freeze. Without another word, Kyotaro stretches his hand out first. Sakura pauses, wondering if Kyotaro actually means it. Nari nudges him to accept the handshake, but Sakura feels awkward. He's not used to touching people unless he's punching them. Still, he steps forward. They shake hands, but it's obvious neither of them intends to back down. They squeeze each other's hands, silently trying to assert dominance, and find they're equally strong. Suddenly, the rest of the boys tackle Sakura. He gets angry, but they're only trying to celebrate him for landing a clean hit on Kyotaro. For the first time, Sakura is taken aback. Everyone in this town treats his fighting skills as something good. Nobody has scolded him. Nobody has feared him. They're proud of him. He decides maybe he doesn't need to hold back so much and starts getting along with them. As they're messing around, a senior bursts into the classroom, telling everyone to get outside. Sakura demands to know who he is and why they should listen, but the senior ignores him and drags the class out. Once they reach the grounds, Sakura realizes someone was timing them. Horagi, the same man who ended yesterday's fight. Nari asks if they've met, and Sakura says he saw him when he rescued the girl at the cafe. But the moment Nari mentions Kotoha's name, Horagi snaps. He grabs Sakura by the mouth and sprints away with him. He throws Sakura onto the ground and scolds him furiously. He told Sakura not to mention that Kotoha was at the scene. If word gets out that she was in danger, it'll cause a huge mess for them. As Horagi rummages through his pocket, Sakura braces for a weapon. Instead, Horagi pulls out antacid pills for his stomachache. Sakura is dumbfounded. Back in class, Nari asks what that was about. Sakura downplays it, but calls Horagi an idiot who stresses himself into stomach pain and pops pills like candy. Nari immediately writes it in his Furin cool guy's diary. He explains that Horagi is actually one of the 4 kings of Bafren. Above them all sits Hajime, and under him are 4 captains, the kings, each commanding a squad. Horagi leads their squad, the Tamon squad. Horagi returns and orders everyone to group up into teams of 4 or 5 for town patrol. He himself leads Sakura, Nari, Suo, and Kyota. Sakura is thrilled to be stuck with Kyotaro again, but Horagi reveals Hajime specifically told him to keep an eye on the two. Since they already fought, they have to walk on opposite sides of the road. Soon Sakura gets bored of patrolling and complains that if this is a patrol, they should at least get to beat up intruders. Horagi explains that Bafren is the defense force, not offense. Walking around in their uniforms is enough to scare off small gangs. That's how they maintain peace. Then Horagi spots an old lady on a ladder and rushes to help her. Before Sakura realizes what's happening, he and the others are forced to repaint a shopkeeper's graffiti-covered wall. Sakura doesn't understand why they're doing chores, but Nari says it's all part of being Bafren. As a reward, the shopkeeper gives them freshly fried fish. While they eat, Horagi opens up. He says he used to be just like Sakura, only caring about fighting, but now he actually enjoys helping people. They keep walking until they reach a railway bridge. Sakura points at a dog-shaped logo on the wall and calls it ugly. Nari panics and shushes him immediately. They're standing at the border between their territory and another school's. Nari warns Sakura not to cross the tracks. The other side belongs to Lion's Head, a school that believes pure strength is everything. Sakura smirks. That's perfect for me. Just as they turn to head back, a battered middle schooler from their territory comes running toward them. Horagi recognizes his uniform at once. The boy must have wandered into Lion's Head's territory before the kid can cross the tracks to safety. Lion's Head students appear behind him. Horagi sees they'll catch him before he can make it over. The boy trips, and as the attackers close in, their leader is suddenly knocked out by Sakura and Kiyotaro stand firm, and even Horagi and the others are shocked. They all know this is going to be trouble, but for once, everyone is on the same page. If someone attacks one of their students, they'll protect them. The two Lion's Head guys start making fun of their own leader for getting knocked out. But suddenly the sound of wooden sandals echoes across the tracks. Everything goes dead silent. One of the top dogs of Lion's Head arrives. Even Horagi tenses up. It's Togami, the second in command of Lion's Head. Togami is lazy and laid back, but the moment he steps forward, the air changes. He casually checks the boy who was knocked out, and Horagi steps up to explain the situation. Togami becomes interested in the two boys who jumped into the fight. Even Sakura can feel the pressure. This guy is strong. The knocked out boy suddenly wakes up and starts yelling at Sakura and Kiyotaro, accusing them of trespassing on their turf. But before he can finish, Togami smashes a glass bottle over his head and grabs him by the hair. He calls him a loser who has no right to talk big after getting one shot by a kick. Togami brutally beats the boy, saying weaklings don't deserve pride. Horagi steps in, asking if he has no compassion for his own teammates. Togami simply pulls the boy's jacket off and says weaklings don't belong in Lion's Head at all. Sakura suddenly steps forward and calls Lion's Head a lame group that acts tough only when beating the weak. He walks right up to Togami and calls him disappointing. But instead of getting angry, Togami just stares at Sakura's hairstyle and tells him he talks way too fast, which is the most annoying thing about him. Togami declares that he's memorized Sakura's face and will fight him properly one day. With that, Lion's Head leaves. Immediately, Nari jumps on Sakura and Kiyotaro, scolding them for provoking Togami. Su tries calming him down while Horagi is in the corner popping stomach pills again. Nari keeps yelling that Sakura made everything worse, but Horagi says Togami wouldn't have let it slide anyway. What's done is done. They decide to return to school, taking the middle schooler with them to explain everything to Hajime. As they approach Hajime's hideout, Horagi grows increasingly nervous, making Sakura wonder if Hajime is really that terrifying. They open the rooftop door, only to find Hajime, the strongest of Furin, peacefully growing vegetables. He has an entire garden set up and excitedly shows them the crops he's grown. Sakura is stunned. This goofy gardener is supposed to be Furin's supremo. Horagi tries explaining the urgent situation, but Hajime cuts him off mid-sentence to ask whether he should plant red chilies in the empty pots. Everyone is confused. Sakura asks if this guy is really Hajime. Kiyotaro grabs him by the collar, telling him to answer when saying Hajime's name. But the moment Hajime notices, Kiyotaro immediately lets go. They sit at a table while Hajime proudly shows off the vegetables. Only Kiyotaro seems interested. Sakura complains they all look like grass, angering Kiyotaro. Hajime still encourages him to look closely, and Sakura wonders how such a silly guy is respected as Furin's leader. The middle schooler finally stands up, almost in tears, and explains everything. He saw a shoplifter stealing from a store and chased him all the way into Lion's Head territory without realizing it. He thought he was done for, but Sakura and Kiyotaro saved him. He apologizes for causing trouble between the schools, but Hajime calls him Sasaki, thanks him, and says none of it is his fault. Sasaki was just trying to protect the town. He tells the boy to leave the rest to his elder brothers. Sasaki is moved. Then Hajime asks how Sakura and Kiyotaro saved him. When he hears they defeated the attacker with just a kick, Hajime bursts out laughing, shocking everyone. Horagi apologizes for not acting sooner, but Hajime tells him to stop carrying everything alone. Nari suddenly blurts out that things still got worse because of Sakura. Hajime curiously asks how. Sakura stands up and says that Lion's Head kept bragging about their strength while beating up weaklings, so he called them lame. Everyone is stunned silent, but Hajime simply pats Sakura's head, says he did well, and agrees that Lion's head has gotten lame recently. He even thanks Sakura for fighting those thugs yesterday. Hajime thanks Sakura for saving Sasaki and proudly calls him a reliable younger brother who's helping protect the family. Sakura suddenly feels his guard dropping around Hajime. Now he understands why everyone is drawn to him. Hajime makes people feel safe. Even Sakura feels it, but he immediately slaps Hajime's hand away, insisting he's not his elder brother. Suddenly, Hiragi gets a call from his friend, but the call cuts off instantly. Before they can react, someone enters the school grounds with a loudspeaker. A boy wearing a lion's head jacket drags along an injured Furin student. He introduces himself as Choji, the leader of Lion's Head, and challenges Hajime to come out and fight. Nari panics, but Sakura is fired up. This guy is even stronger than Togami. He suddenly senses a burning pressure behind him and turns to see Hajime calmly heading out. Sakura instinctively follows, along with Kyotaro, Suo, Sasaki, and Nari. On the grounds, Hajime tells everyone to stay back. Sakura begs him to let him fight, but Hajime orders him to stand still, and somehow Sakura feels frozen in place. Hiragi steps up to Choji, demanding he return their student. Choji only asks if Hiragi is mad at him. He drops the injured boy, walks up to Hajime, and challenges him to a one-on-one. He claims that since Furin technically broke the rules first, it's reason enough to start a fight. He circles Hajime, provoking him, but Hajime isn't interested. He tells Choji that even if his boys started the fight, Choji already made up for it. With all the students, he's knocked out. He suggests calling it even. Choji refuses. He charges at Hajime full speed and throws a high kick, but Hajime blocks it without budging. Choji steps back and taunts him to attack. Hajime calmly asks why he's so desperate to fight. Choji says he doesn't want to fight. He wants Hajime himself. Everyone is stunned. Choji explains that after becoming Lion's Head's leader, everything became boring, but Hajime seems to enjoy life every single day. That's why Choji wants to take Hajime and the entire Furin High for himself. Hajime sighs and tells him to see a therapist. Choji doesn't get it, but before he can press further, Togami and the rest of Lion's Head arrive to join the fight. Togami scolds Choji for rushing in without hearing the full story. Furin students gather behind Hajime. Togami greets Sakura by calling him chessboard head. Sakura fires back by calling him messed up hair, which makes Hajime tell Togami to pipe down. Togami snaps back, telling him to shut up. Sakura says he won't interfere in one-on-one fights, but he won't tolerate gang attacks either. Choji orders his team not to interrupt, but Togami points out that Furin is clearly ready to throw hands too. Hajime notices this and loudly commands everyone not to move. Hajime steps forward alone and tells Choji that if he wants a one-on-one, he should send his men back first. Choji agrees, but his lackeys start mocking Hajime, calling him a coward. Kyotaro curses at them, but one of the Lion's Head boys with a man bun recognizes him. Suo jumps into the trash talk, mocking the man bun guy for talking like a 5-year-old. Togami silences his side and tells Choji that even if he wants a duel, they should do it another day because it will get dark soon, and if it's too dark, they won't see whose face they're smashing in. He asks Sakura if he agrees, but Sakura fires back asking why he'd want to see his ugly face anyway. Togami just smirks. Choji realizes everyone already has a personal fight they want to settle and suggests turning it into an all-out war, not a brawl, but a tournament where everyone gets a one-on-one match. Even Togami likes the idea. He immediately starts listing the matchups. Choji versus Hajime, Togami versus Sakura the funky hair guy versus Kyotaro man bun guy versus Suo. Hajime and thrilled, but Sakura and the others are excited. Then a shy boy from Lion's Head steps forward and volunteers to fight Hiragi. Hiragi recognizes him, Sako, and now he also wants in. With that, the teams from both schools are set. Later, all the first years and Sasaki visit Katoha's cafe. Nari is crying and screaming about the trouble everyone has caused. Kotoha serves their order and tells him to stop worrying so much. Nai asks what they'll do if Hajime loses to Choji. But Kyotaro gives him a death stare before he can even finish the sentence. Nari tries to finish his sentence, but he insists that if they lose tomorrow, Furin will fall completely under Lion's Head's control. Kotoha brushes off the worrying, confidently saying their students are strong enough to handle anything. Sakura finishes his food quickly and stands up to leave, but Nari reminds him that Hajime and his group aren't here yet. Sakura complains that they told them to wait, but they're taking forever. Sue explains that this restaurant has always been a famous hangout spot for Bafren members. Before any big fight, everyone gathers here. Suddenly, the door opens, and Hajime enters, instantly switching into simp mode over Kotoha. He praises her hairstyle and even brags about the vegetables he's growing, only to receive her usual dry response. Sue whispers to Sakura that Kotoha is Hajime's favorite, making Sakura turn red as he awkwardly asks if she's his girlfriend. Hiragi bursts into laughter, while Kotoha instantly denies anything like that. Hajime tries to say she's like his cute little sister, but Kotoha shuts that down too. After a brief awkward silence, she explains they both grew up in the same orphanage, so Hajime thus thinks of her as a little sister. Sakura sighs in relief, saying it didn't sound like a big deal. But when he asks her age, she says she's 16, and Sakura casually blurts out that she looks like she's in her mid-20s. Kyotaro is horrified by the insult and immediately throws a stool at him. Sakura gets ready to fight back, only to realize Kyotaro did it on Hajime's behalf, because Hajime is furious that he called Kotoha old. Hiragi warns Sakura that since Hajime absolutely adores Kotoha, things can get very ugly if he thinks she's in danger. Hajime and Hiragi sit down to eat, and Hiragi comments that Lion's Head has changed a lot recently. They used to be a group of hot-headed fighters, but they had a code of conduct. They never targeted middle schoolers or started turf wars over nothing. He remembers their old brawls being rough but strangely fun. But ever since Choji took over, things have turned nasty. He's picking fights everywhere, and something feels off about both Choji and Togami. Hajime says they'll figure it out once they talk tomorrow. Sakura asks if they aren't going to fight, and Hajime explains that fighting is also a way of communicating. Just with fists instead of words, the group gathers outside, and Hajime reminds everyone to meet at the arena on time. Sasuke suddenly speaks up, thanking everyone for saving him and hoping they win tomorrow. Everyone reassures him, except Sakura, who gets embarrassed and says he's not fighting for him. Kotoha calls him an idiot and says that if he wants to act cool, he should just tell the boy to leave it to him. Sakura remembers that Hajime said the exact same thing earlier, so he nervously tries to imitate him before heading home. As he walks, Sakura thinks about how fists are a language, and fights are conversations. The next day, Hajime and the fighters reach the train tracks and step into Lion's Head territory. Sakura feels something different. For the first time, he's fighting for something bigger than himself, and that feeling makes him believe he won't lose to anyone. Choji and his crew wait to welcome them. Choji playfully skips ahead as he leads them deeper into their turf. Sakura notices how desolate the area is compared to their own district. Nearly every shop is a bar or pub. Nya explains that this is the drinking district, the center of the city's nightlife. Sakura then turns to him with the most obvious question. Why is a weakling like Nyari tagging along? Nyari nervously says he's involved since he was there during the incident. He insists he's a member of Bafren, and even if he can't beat people up, he wants to be strong enough to protect himself. He asks if he can learn by watching them fight. Sakura is stunned, and immediately starts blushing, prompting Sue to tease him again. Their playful arguing irritates Hiragi, who shouts at them for joking around before a fight. Hajime tells him to relax. He thinks the rookies are promising. Choji keeps pestering them to hurry, and soon they pass through graffiti-covered alleys and arrive in front of Lion's Head base. Togami formally welcomes them. Their base, like the rest of the district, is run down and chaotic. Inside, Nyari explains that Lion's Head uses an abandoned movie theater as their headquarters. Choji throws open the doors, revealing rows of Lion's Head members already seated, screaming and cheering for the upcoming fights. Some of them even block the exit so the Furin students can't leave. Nyari nearly weights himself, wondering if he'll ever get out of here alive. Sakura tells Nyari bluntly that if he's here to study fighting, then he needs to keep his eyes forward and pay attention. Soon after, Choji steps onto the stage and announces that it's finally time to begin their one-on-one fight tournament. The crowd erupts in cheers, and even Hajime is impressed by Choji's showmanship. He turns around and reminds everyone that no matter how grand the tournament seems, the real main event is still his fight with Choji. He tells his classmates not to stress about winning or losing. But of course, nobody listens. Sakura snaps at Hajime, telling him to screw himself because even if the results don't count, he has zero intention of losing. Kyotaro and Sue agree, and Hajime just smiles, calling Sakura a reliable junior. Choji, already excited, tells Hajime to step forward, but Togami cuts him off, insisting that the captains must fight last for maximum height. Suddenly, the guy with the flashy mullet stands up and volunteers to go first, annoyed because Kato keeps staring at him. Hajime sends him without hesitation, and both boys walk toward the stage. Before Kyotaro can follow, Sakura stops him, reminding him that their own unfinished fight still remains. But he warns that if Kyotaro loses to losers like these, he won't even consider him worthy of fighting. Kyotaro scoffs and heads into the arena. The Lion's Head students chant the name of their fighter, Arima. Nyari checks his notes and is shocked. Arima is a heavy hitter capable of breaking multiple ribs with a single blow. Sue says Kyotaro is just as strong, but Hajime disagrees, saying it would be an insult to place Kyotaro in the same category as Arima. On stage, Arima mocks Kyotaro's irritating eyes. Then, nervously glancing at the crowd, he starts asking Hajime if everything is alright, thinking his idol might be in trouble. Kyotaro looks back, giving Arima the perfect opening to land a clean punch to his face. Arima warns him not to look away during a fight, but before he can follow up, Kyotaro grabs his arm, refusing to let go. Arima struggles but can't free himself. In one swift motion, Kyotaro smashes his face into the ground, knocking him out instantly. Wiping his cheek, he tells Arima to say sir before addressing Hajime. Just like that, the first fight ends. The Lion's Head students are stunned. Arima's partner grows nervous. Togami simmers with silent rage, but Choji is delighted. He claps for Kyotaro, praising his strength as he walks forward to ask his name. But Togami yanks him back by the jacket before he can. Kyota Ro climbs down from the stage, and Hajime greets him proudly, patting his cheek and laughing. Kyotaro beams from the compliment. Nyari is amazed. He isn't bothered at all by the punch he took. Sakura scoffs, saying it's no surprise since they fought before. Sue and Nyari tease him for finally accepting Kyotaro as a friend, and Sakura argues back while Hajime quietly observes. His eyes shift toward Togami, who seems mentally elsewhere. Choji then calls for the second fight, but before that, he orders the students to remove Arima's body. Finding him too heavy, they just roll him off the stage and kick him for being weak. Nyari is horrified, but the boys laugh while heading back to their seats. Sakura, annoyed, tells them to stop yapping near him. He mocks them, saying they should never call themselves devotees of power again, because watching weaklings act tough gives him second-hand embarrassment. Furious, the boys step toward him, but Sue steps in, saying idiots like them only understand after tasting defeat. One grabs Sue's collar, demanding he make him understand, but Choji instantly intervenes. With a cold, murderous stare, he tells the boy he's not Sue's opponent. They retreat immediately, trembling, and Choji returns to his usual carefree personality, asking who wants to go next. Sakura tries to stand, but Sue stops him. It's his turn to fight. His opponent is Kanuma, the nervous man bun fighter, who slouches toward the stage while his friends cheer him on. Sue rises and tells Sakura that when Kanuma first came to Furin and declared he would take the top spot, he thought the guy was stupid. Sakura gets irritated, asking if he's trying to pick a fight, but Sue laughs. He says he can finally see now that Kanuma's words and actions have actual spine, which makes him an awesome person. Su promises to work his hardest to keep up with him, making Sakura blush. Both fighters step onto the stage. Nyari searches for information on Kanuma, while Sakura, surprisingly, is more interested in Su. Nyari explains that ever since middle school, Su was a repeater who Su has always been known as a strong fighter, and Sakura says he could tell that just by looking at him. But he wants extra information. Surprisingly, Nyari has no specific stories about Su, not even a fight record. Sakura is stunned, and even Hiragi and Hajime admit they don't know much about him either. Except for one thing. Su is always a gentleman. Meanwhile, on stage, Kanuma nervously chews his nails while cursing Kyotaro for defeating Orima. Su immediately taunts him, saying he finally seems to care about his friends. Unlike when they first met, Kanuma snaps back, saying Orima was his childhood friend who always protected him. So of course, he's furious. Su just laughs, mocking him like a toddler because he only feels something when he is the victim. He even baby talks him, asking if things were too hard for the little guy. Sakura takes one look at Su's smug face and instantly disqualifies him from being a gentleman. Kanuma, now furious, charges in. Su blocks the punch effortlessly, redirects his momentum, and pushes him away. Everyone watching is stunned. They never imagined gentle Su was hiding actual martial arts mastery. Kanuma tries again, but Su deflects the attack and slams him to the ground. He attacks the legs. Su dodges with clean footwork and flings him away again. But by bit, Su turns the match into a comedy routine. It looks like Su is dancing while Kanuma trips over his own failures. The crowd starts booing Kanuma, telling him to take things seriously. He feels humiliated, thinking all these people yelling from far away don't know what kind of monster he's fighting. Hajime laughs, saying Su is no ordinary gentleman, while Sakura argues Su isn't gentle at all. He thinks Su has a garbage personality because he's deliberately toying with someone far weaker. Kanuma keeps attacking, but Su effortlessly dodges each strike, then slams him to the ground again. Over and over, he embarrasses him while Sakura watches, thinking he'd die from shame if he were in Kanuma's place. Sakura wonders how he can make Su spar seriously with him. But Nyari can't understand why he'd want that. Kanuma is out of stamina, but still charges desperately. Su finally switches to offense, slamming him harder, twisting his hand, throwing him around the stage, and delivering sharp, accurate blows. Choji is so bored, he literally falls asleep. This pushes Kanuma into panic. He screams that he can't be outcast or called a weakling. He rushes Su again, only to get kicked in the face. Su mocks him more, saying he must now understand what weaklings feel, the same ones he used to ridicule. Kanuma, terrified, stumbles as Su steps closer, preparing a finishing punch, but Togami steps in, telling Su to stop. The fight is already over. He tells Kanuma not to embarrass them further, then immediately corrects himself, saying Kanuma ain't one of them anymore, so he can't embarrass them at all. Su walks past the defeated boy and calmly says that now that he's tasted weakness, he should learn to empathize with others. That will help him finally grow up. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for part 5, and check out this brand new anime about a gamer who gets transported to a new world and becomes the strongest hero.